Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. I wanted to do some things to my MISTI, and I came up with some ideas that I saw on a couple different channels. I know one was Jennifer McGuire's, but I'm not doing what she did specifically, and I'm not sure where I saw this, but this was a set of 6 non-slip vinyl template sheets. I'm not going to be using them the way the other person did either, but I am going to be using all of these on the MISTI. And what I'm going to do first, I got the overhead projector sheets at a garage sale, and I was going to use them for the acetate, but then I started thinking about how Jennifer did the laminating of her sheets in her MISTI, so she covered over this. And I thought, well, I don't really need to cover one of those with a laminating. I can simply just use these sheets and lay it on top of this. I have 2 of these pieces of the plastic that I'm going to be using, and I'll show you my system. The grid paper that I showed you a second ago, that I'll show you again, I got on Amazon, and I'll do the link so you know exactly what the piece was that I got, so you're not confused by that, because sometimes I am a little confusing in what I say. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put my sheet in here lined up with these are my 2 pieces of plastic, and I'm doing it so that, hopefully, I'm going to go the other way, so that they are the same size as our grid sheet, and that way I'll have an extra one if I need it. And I could attach it like Jennifer did if I wanted to, but this way I can make it so I use them when I want them, or not, or when I don't. I won't have to use it. And if I mess one up, I can always throw it out, because I have a whole box of those that I got at that garage sale. And when I saw them, I thought that'll be great, and then I immediately forgot I bought them. So then I bought some heat-resistant acetate to do some cards with. So right off the bat, now we have our grid sheet, and underneath is a plastic piece. We can put that back in the MISTI, and now my MISTI has that covered piece in it, and so now my papers won't be all yucky like they normally are, and if they are, I can always switch to the page underneath that I cut. Now, the reason I bought this, I'll show you the top. The 6 non-slip vinyl blah blah blah. The reason I bought these is, when you put your paper in like this, and I normally do 5.5 by 4 1/4 cards normally. What I was thinking was, if I cut one of these to the right size, I would be able to use this so that it would be lined up and my paper would never move. If I cut this, do you follow that? If I cut it so that it's well, I'll just show you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put marks where I'm going to cut, and I'm going to do that with my little Sharpie that's trying to run away. There it is. Oh boy. Ugh. So my goal here is that I'm going to make it so that my card, I'm left-handed, so if you're right-handed and you need your MISTI to open the other way, then when you would do this, you would do it backwards from what I'm doing. But I want to cut this so that when I set this in, that my paper is going to, my plastic is going to work perfectly, so that well, I'll show you. I'm going to get my Tim Holtz scissors while I'm talking about all of this, and let me just trim this out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the first thing I did was I cut the grid so that it was 4 1/4 inches high and 5 1/2 inches wide. That way, if I have a card and I put it in to my mold, it's not going to move around. It's going to stay there. You know, it might, I mean, there's a chance it'll move a little bit, but if I put a magnet on this, it's not going to move at all. Or, if on the reverse of it, I wanted to put, I wanted to center up some writing on my card, I have this piece, and I wrote on them the directions because I made a grid going the other way too. So let's say that I want to make sure that I'm putting something in right. I could, you know, like really play with this, with red rubber stamps especially, and know that everything is centered properly. Then I also cut out a short piece and a long piece. That's not actually the ones I cut, but that I could center on as well. Then I cut going the other way. I'll pull this out if I can get that magnet off. Ugh. Okay. Then I cut it. I'll move that out of the way. Oh, and I wrote top right here so that I know where my writing is, because the underneath of this isn't as clear as the other side, so I wanted to make sure I wrote on the side that I could really see. So then I made another grid, that this time for a card that's going to go up and down that way. And again, you put your magnet on that grid, and so our paper can't move. And again, I wrote on it, you know, the dimensions. I don't know if you can see that, it's very little. And I did the same thing. I made the top piece so that if I wanted to center things, I'll have this piece to center on as well. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a 5x7 card. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your grid and you're going to get your corners lined up on the edge of your MISTI, and then you're going to put your card, I'm going to put my card underneath it, makes it easier for me. If I put my card down in there and then I put my grid sheet, hold on, got that magnet in my hand, put my card in the corner, then I'll hold it in place and I'll put my grid sheet right up against it. It is going to be a little bit more than 7 inches. Remember, you have, you know, your paper is in there, so it's going to take up a little bit of extra room, and your grid's in there, so that takes up a little extra room. So down at this end, I don't know if you can see that, but my paper is a little bit longer, and right there, and right here. So those are the cuts I need to make, and then once I do that, then I'm also going to cut out that outside so that it fits in the hole. So let me get right back. Whoop, I have one more place I need to show a cut. You want to make sure that you go to the end of your MISTI, which is right there. Hopefully you can see that. And those are the cuts we need to make. So let me cut that and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is our 5x7 card, and all you're going to do is you're going to put your card in with, you know, you're going to put your plastic in, and if you put your magnet on your plastic, it's going to hold the plastic in place exactly where it's supposed to be, and then that will ensure that your card doesn't move at all. See that? The card's not moving, so that's a good thing. And again, I made this piece so that if I want to do some centering on the 5x7, I'll know exactly where on the grid it needs to be. And so that's done. So then I have these leftover pieces, and I thought what I would do with those is, I'll get my MISTI out of the way because I don't need it for this part. What I thought I would do is I would measure and see how wide and how tall they are. I put this white piece here so you could figure, you know, so you could see it really well behind it. So this piece is almost 1.5 inches wide, so that's not going to help me, but if I wanted to make it narrower, I could make it 1 inch. Let's see how wide this is. This is exactly 1 inch. So what we can do is we can put this down. I'll measure it again so you can see it. It is an inch wide. Now that even includes that little extra piece on the side. So we're going to write down here 1 inch going, whoops, yeah, that's right, going this way. And then let's go from top to bottom. Maybe I'll go from bottom to top. The thing that'll be nice about this is if I have it in with all of my other practical type things, you know, all of my other grids, I'll know exactly what I've got going on, and this is 6.5 inches. Let's say that you're playing with this card and you can't decide exactly where you need things. What you can do is, by using these little grids on either side, you'll know exactly, you know, where you've centered things. And I want to tell you one more thing before I'm done. And that is, when I started with playing with my MISTI, I found a website called, I think it's called Cynthia's Templates, and she does these grids of different shapes. And let me show you the point of it. Let me grab a sentiment, one that hopefully you can see. Okay, let's do it on this, and let me get all this other stuff out of the way and put it on our card. What you do is you put this grid down. Let's say this is how we want it. We're going to put that like that. What you do is you figure out in which one of these lengths that your sentiment fits into. And in my case, the thanks fits in the very bottom one. So what you're going to do is you're going to use this template to put your word where, you know, to make it work exactly on each one of these. So I had Staples print mine, and this is what comes in Cynthia's Templates. You'll get the pentagon, and then you'll get a square, and then you'll get hexagon and an octagon. And then you'll be able to, you know, put your sentiments all the way around. Again, I have not used Cynthia's technique, so I don't really have the scoop on it, but she explains it in real detail on her YouTube channel, so you'll be in good shape with that. Then I wanted to tell you one more thing about these non-slip vinyl template sheets. I got these at Amazon, and they weren't very expensive, and you get 6 of them, but 2 of them are clear, or, you know, like plain. And I was thinking, you know, earlier when I made those plain sheets of acetate, you could use packaging for this as long as it's long enough, but if you wanted to, you could also cut this down and use it, so this would be a one-stop service for everything. You could make your gridded sheets and your cover for your grid that My Sweet Petunia provides. So that's a good tip for you too. And I store everything of my MISTI related items in a hanging folder. It works well for me, and I even put the MISTI in here, so that's another tip for you. So here we go on the last one I've made. This is a 5 1/4 by 4. That would be for the top sheet that you would do for any of your A2 size cards, where you're going to put a sheet on top that's a 1/4 of an inch smaller. I do those a lot, and I stamp on them a lot, so this is a really important one for me to have. So I called it the insert top of an A2 layer. I just wanted to make sure I remembered what the point of it was. Of course, I put the measurements on it, 5 1/4 by 4, same as on this one, and I write top so I know which side I wrote on. And this one I actually cut wrong the first time because the piece of paper I put in, you know, because I'm sometimes really with it. I put the wrong size piece of paper in, so I had to lay down a layer of tear tape in between and cut and add in 1/4 of an inch up at the top, so that's why it looks a little bit different, if you can tell. But that's my last one. I have one more tip for you, and that is, if you go to My Sweet Petunia, who are the makers of the MISTI, if you go to their website, they will give you a grid that's a free downloadable that you can print out that is a lineup grid, much like just having a small piece of this. It's so you can line up your sentiments properly, and you do that on a clear piece of acetate, or you know, download it and take it to a Kinko's or a Staples, someplace like that, and they will print it out for you. But these are my do-it-yourself ways of helping you to align things in a MISTI and making it so that your MISTI is a better tool for you. I'm absolutely certain these will work on the new tool. I don't know the name of the new tools. Hampton Arts, I'm almost positive, is who makes the one that I'm talking about. It's made very much like the MISTI, and it now comes in 2 sizes. There is a huge price difference between that and the MISTI. You can get it with a coupon at Michael's for under, I think it's under $20 with a coupon for even the bigger size that I think is 8 by 8. And I am going to be buying that size, and the reason I am, not that I don't love my MISTI, I absolutely do. And you're probably thinking to yourself, then what the heck, Sandy? Here's the deal. This door is very thick. And for most people, that's a really great thing. For me, it makes it really hard for me to stamp big images. I have been told that the Hampton Arts version is thinner, and I'm thinking if that's the case, I should be able to stamp easier, and I'm hoping that it makes it easier for me, because that has been problematic for me in the past. I'm sure you've seen me put it on the ground and rub my foot on it. Don't tell anyone I did that. It's bad. Don't do it. These are the tips I have for you. I hope they help you out, and I hope you give some of them a try. I think that they're going to work out well for me, and I'm going to be using them immediately. I will put all of this information down in the comment section below. So please give this a thumbs up, and thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.